Let's get right into it, man. The first thing I want to get into about this fight, that you had was the training camp, ahead of the fight. How was this training camp different from any other training camp that you've had?
Uh, it wasn't very different. I mean, my last few training camps, I've been training in Philadelphia at Marquez MMA and Daniel Gracie. So that's really it. This camp I got a lot of high level work. With a lot of guys. Typically, I'm doing a lot of boxing. I'm in the boxing gyms and I'm able to grapple with a lot of high level guys, but I'm not able to typically get a lot of MMA rounds on the regular. So I'd have to seek it out. With this fight, a lot of my rounds, I'd had more MMA rounds than boxing rounds, so that was a plus.
Oh, definitely. And is this something that you found out, like, this is the formula that you want to go with? This is what's working for you to improve and to be the best version of yourself?
Yeah, 100%. That's a lot of changes were made, and changes are continuously being made. So yeah, definitely. It's definitely a new home for me in Philadelphia.
What's the commute like? Or are you just going down there for like a week at a time?
It's a 2.5 hour drive, but that drive was killing me. It was killing a lot of time out of my day. You know what I mean? So I decided to just sometimes I stay there. So sometimes I'll stay with another fighter, or I'll just get an Airbnb and just drive up there and just stay out there for the week and do it like that.
So who are the main guys out there that you've been working with?
A ton of people, man. Joe Pfeiffer, Sean Brady, um, uh, Petrowski, uh, just a ton of people, man. All the guys there that they have, Miles Lee, um, Wells, everyone. It's a good team, and a good lot of big bodies for me to work with, and guys, they give me a good push. So
Yeah, yeah. Wells, Brady, welterweights, middleweights, Pfeiffer. It seems like the perfect combination, and different styles as well. I mean, it's not like every dude fights the same.
for sure, and I think I bring a lot of value there as well. You know what I mean? So I think people appreciate that. So it's a good, even, nice trade off. You know what I mean? So I'm a big boy with a very unique style that a lot of people can't replicate. So to have me in a room, it's great, and you know to have all those other guys, to help me from my perspective is great as well. So
Any adversity ahead of the fight, in the training camp?
I was sick. Yeah, I had I don't know what I had, but I was messed up, like probably some stomach thing. But I was jacked up a week prior to this fight. Fun fact, I almost didn't make the fight, almost pulled out of the fight.
Wow.
But sucked it up and we got it done.
You didn't go to the doctors?
Nah, I already knew. I was just there's nothing I could do. I got a fever. You know what I mean? I got a fever. I'm shaking. Diarrhea. Um, Probably like a stomach flu or something. But I was like, it's funny. A week, the day, like 1 week exactly. I got a picture. I'll send it to you. I'll show it to you after. But um, I was in, like, IV'd up, just sitting in my bed wrapped up with I had they brought an IV to me, and we had to order an IV and everything with some minerals and vitamins and shit like that. I was dehydrated. I wasn't holding anything down. Everything was coming out of me, both ends. Crazy.
Man, I could only imagine, what I mean, because you've put so much work and time into that camp to have like a week out to be going through all of that, man. It must have been
Terrible.
like a big mental battle as well, on top of physically.
You feel like you have the worst luck in the world. I'm like, why me now? Out of all the times that some shit like this happened, why me now? That's just how you feel. And it's like, why this couldn't happen 2 weeks ago? If it had to happen, why now? And you just kind of feel like that. But it is what it is. We just got through it. That's what we do. So
And another thing is, like, we usually do interviews ahead of almost every single fight that you've had in the UFC, and this time around you didn't do any media outside of the fight week stuff. Why did you
yeah.
decide on that?
Um, I don't know. I think sometimes I feel like I make myself too accessible. And sometimes I have a gripe with the media from time to time with the way they do things. You know what I mean? The way they word things. So decided, you know what, this camp, I just needed to focus primarily on the fight, and I get with who I want to get with afterwards. The people who I have the most respect for, and I think do the best work and and paint the fighters in a great light. Those are the people that I've had relationships with. Those guys. So if I'm doing an interview with you right after the fight, you know you're one of those guys. You know what I mean? I rock with you.
Appreciate it.
So that's who I decided I'm gonna stay with and do interviews after the fight. So everyone that reached out, they got the message. You know what? Afterwards, we'll get together afterwards. So
That's good. That's great, man. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man, because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. You know what I mean? And, if you don't want to do media ahead of the fight, you don't want to do media ahead of the fight. It's up to you.
absolutely. And I mean, I was on my Twitch podcast. I was on YouTube. I mean, if you really want, show up come give me the viewer. Come type the question. I'll answer it. Pull up.
Yeah, a lot of fighters are doing that nowadays, right? A lot of fighters are, being very selective of like what type of media that they're doing, and then they have other outlets like a Twitch or a YouTube page, and I think that's the future for fighting.
For sure, for sure. I mean, I could tell the story. I can tell you it just on my own. I could put it out. So where the fighters are players in the media field as well now. So things are getting interesting there.
Yeah, do your thing, man. Do your thing. I love it, man. I love it. Even though it's competition, I still love it because it makes me have to elevate my game. You know what I mean? In different avenues or different ways. So yeah, keep doing it, man.
It weeds out the guys who just want to do clickbaity bullshit. You know what I mean? It weeds them out, and the guys like you are gonna thrive and still be around. So,
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Speaking of thriving, how's training camp going, man? I know you're training.
It's going,
I see
man.
you on Instagram and shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it, but like I lost the weight that I need to lose. You know what I mean? In the first few months, and I was scared. I wasn't scared, but I was like very like I was thinking like it wouldn't happen. I was thinking like I'm just too old. Like I gained all this weight. I'm like I'm gonna try to do it, but I was thinking in my mind it's not gonna happen. But then like after like the 2-month mark, it just started flying off, and now I have to eat to keep the weight on, which is insane.
Nice.
I never thought I would have been at that point. So
putting in that work, just burning it all every day, right? Hell yeah.
But it's a hell of a sport, man. It's a hell of a grind, and once I fight, I don't think I'm gonna do any grappling, wrestling, or anything like that because it just messes up like your neck, your shoulders. Dude, I have to go to the doctors and get injections in my shoulders because my right shoulder is so jacked up. But I still have to train, right? So I have to get the injections, get the massages, and then go train. And I know fighters are doing the exact same thing probably for their whole body, which I couldn't even imagine.
Just it's a sacrifice, man, and sometimes it's a sacrifice for you and your family, and sometimes it's a sacrifice for someone to tell you in a comment section like, bro, you look like shit. Like, come on, man, you could have did better than that. Like, you know what I mean? So you're like, what, bro? You didn't even know what I go through. You know what this takes. But nobody cares. That's just the game, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. But you do it for the love, and you do it for you and your family, and And I love to see reporters and people who report on the stuff that we do dive in for themselves and feel it and see what it really takes. And I truly, you don't know how much I appreciate that, man. And to see it's I respect the shit out of that.
And it's not just me. There's a few other guys like Casey from MMA Fighting. He's actually had a amateur fight. And there's a Dan Tom from MMA Junkie. He's training, nice. I think, for a fight. And he's fought before. Oscar Willis, the Mac Life guy. I think he's doing it too as well. So there's a few guys diving in. You know what I mean? I think some of the comments from the fighters spark something in some of the reporters. And it's a great thing, man. Let's talk about the fight, man. The first round, the straight right down the pipe, dude. You dropped Trinaldo. People were probably screaming at the TV. The people that bet all fights are like first round prop knockout. And, what was running through your mind when you were watching him crawl back to his feet?
All day, all night. That's what in my mind, at least at that time, I was just like, bro, all night. That's what it's going to be. For me, that's just a thing that I do. Like, I don't knock someone down and, I did it with the intention of hurting him, and it landed. I knew I could do it. It wasn't an accident. So you see guys hurt people and they're like, oh, I got him. And they just throw everything out the air and just run at him and go crazy. I knew he wasn't like critically hurt. I knew he was hurt, but he wasn't critically hurt enough for me to go in and try to finish and get the kill. So it was more of I postured over him and let him know like, yeah, all night. Get ready for that all night. So come on up. Let's go again. Right. So, but it kind of backfired because Trinaldo, being the veteran that he is, he knows the game. Most guys, you do that to them and they get up and Now they're responding and reacting to you. They're doing everything in their power so their game plan is out the window of what they're gonna do. Now they're like, I can't let that happen. So they're like more cautious. And Ronaldo didn't give a damn, man. He was just he got back up and he just continued to remain dangerous and still try to get off his game plan. So and that just goes to show the experience and the time that he's put in the game. So much respect.
Well, that showed your experience and your fight IQ, right? Because, like you said, most guys would see just the guy drop. There's a guys that drop, and then there's guys that drop and they're really hurt. You saw that he was hurt, but he wasn't like knocked.
Yeah, it wasn't critical.
Yeah. So yeah, it shows that. Was there a point like in the past fights that you went in too quick and you learned from that experience?
Yeah, and I think it happens to every fighter, but not everyone learns from it, but it happens. And a credit to Anderson Silva doing a lot of studying of that dude over the years, just seeing him do that and the confidence to just walk at you after dudes are on Bambi legs. Like, you're just like, I know I did it. I meant to do it. It wasn't an accident. I set it up and executed it. What makes you think now that you're dizzy, I can't set it up and execute it again? I don't have to just run at you and go crazy, So the point in my career is when I fought Kamosi. I hit Kamosi with an uppercut and he got wobbled and I just completely lost my shit and I just ran at him. And it's funny people get to see this because I'm learning on the job in the UFC. You guys got to see me learn on the job, right? A lot of people say that, but I truly mean that. You see me get better every time. Like, I'm really learning out here, all right? So you see, I hit him with a lead uppercut and he wobbled up and I just ran at him. I threw a bunch of random punches and I threw this bullshit flying knee, this lazy flying knee, and I just fell into the clinch. I was like, oh shit, he's not letting me out. And now guess what? He's recovered. Now it's a different fight. You know what I mean? So I just learned from that, and in combination with just watching, some of the greats, and that's it. You learn from other people's mistakes. Sometimes you gotta learn from yours too.
Yeah, it's great to see. Going back to what you just said about learning on the job, I feel the last 4 fights, the 4 wins, it seems like you're testing out different parts of your skill set. You know what I mean? Like, I see that happening throughout every fight. You know what I mean? That's why the fights are going longer, because you're testing things out. You know what I mean? You're being more patient. You're not, reacting too quickly to certain something that happens in the fight, right? Is that what you see in yourself? Is that what you're doing? That's what I'm trying to ask.
That is absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Even like you see me against Chaos, I'm shooting double legs and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm learning. I'm putting it all together, and you see, I pride myself in that. I pride myself in the actual technique. It's martial arts, right? And we forget about the art part, right? We forget about that. I still want it to look good. You got to hone your skills. A lot of the guys that come from these collegiate wrestling backgrounds, it's all about competing because it's wrestling. They know how to wrestle. So it's a competition. Remember, a lot of us didn't have that luxury of growing up wrestling. We got into martial arts. So you have to learn to put it all together, and like the constant repetition. And I got into it as a martial artist, not really as a competitor. When you're a competitor doing something since you were like 5 years old, it comes natural, right? Like, we got to win. Now all I got to do is learn a few combinations. When in doubt, I take a shot, get a hold of somebody, we get them down. My game plan, I didn't have that. I came from boxing, right? And martial arts. So I got to learn all these things now, right? And also being a creative and someone who's into media and all this stuff, it's like, hey, I naturally see things from a creator's lens sometimes, right? And it's like, you know what? I want this to look as good as possible. So I'm going to let me try this. Let me mix that. Now this time, let's try to do it like this. Let's mix up all this shit. Let's mix it all up and see what we can get. Try different stuff. And that's all I'm doing out there, man. And I'm finding what works well for me. And in live, real time, discarding was not good for me.
The first round, at the end of the first round, you had that ninja choke. Was that close, man? Because it looked tight to me.
It wasn't close initially, but he let me adjust. And I was like, oh, all right, it's under his neck now, right? And then when I adjusted, if I had 10 more seconds, man, when I stepped over his shoulder, 10 more seconds, I would have choked him out, because there's no getting out of that.
Do you think the first round should be 10 minutes?
3 5s, I'm good with that, man.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with that. 5 5s, 3 5s. I'm good. I'm good with that.
Do you feel like you're ready for the 5 5s, man? Is that the
Absolutely.
next step?
Yeah, 100%. My decision making and my ability to prepare 100%. I can do 5 5s.
Yeah, there's guys that they win fights and they can finish fights in 3 rounds, but then there's guys that you could see like a beautiful masterpiece, like a Peter Yan. I feel like he's one of those guys where if he fights 5 rounds, you could see like him like creating like this masterpiece, like I said, and finishing the fight in like the 5th round. Because I love seeing that. That's one part of fighting that's really great to watch. Do you feel like you will be able to do that in a 25-minute fight?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like a crescendo, right? You slowly crescendo up, and it's funny. I see people saying that I would have lost, had the fight within 5 rounds, and I'm like, all right, bet, let's find out, And so, and that wasn't the case, but I even in camp and in training, I'm known in the gym to be that guy. When everyone's ready to sit out at the end, it's like I'm just getting warmed up. It's like, come on, let's go. You know what I mean? I can go the whole time. I mean, granted, circumstances didn't allow for that in this fight, so it showed I got a little tired. But if people want to think I get tired, then hey, that's fine, right? But 100%. I think I'm one of those guys that just gets shred. I get better every round and crescendo up. So yeah, I love seeing it as well. I love it.
Yeah, it's 4 in a row, man. Like you said, it's just like you're developing and developing. The next step is like you have this unique body type too for the division. I think a lot of people, like when they step in front of you, they're kind of surprised. Do you see the look in their eyes sometimes, like when they step in front of you?
100%. 100%. But I've known that. I've known that since I was like a amateur, and I used to actually, I actually actually use that as a weapon, which is funny to me. And I got that from Conor McGregor when I was younger. I used to see him run to the center and make himself look bigger by like putting his forearms out on his shoulders like this. And I used to run to the center and kind of just appear big, because they don't realize how big I actually am. And it's not about being beefy big. It's just my bones and like my hands and my appendages. I'm just a big guy, So like when I run to the center and not only being big, I have a good understanding of depth perception. I know where I can hit you and where I can't get hit, and that definitely fucks with a lot of people, So it's cool to see. I definitely take advantage of that part of the game, and it's it's funny because everyone says you're so long, all you gotta do is jab, but it's not that easy being tall. It's not all peaches and roses, you know what I mean? Like, there's definitely a pro and a con to being as long as I am, right? I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you the cons, right? But there's definitely the pros are obvious, right? And that's why you see a guy like me that's tall like me, but they don't have the swag I got. They can't move like me. They don't have the coordination I got because they're just tall, right? It also takes a skill set to be able to maintain. It's one thing having length. It's another thing understanding your range, So I love it, and I use it, and I study guys like Anderson Silva. I study John Jones and guys who are similar to me, Adesanya, and I see all of them use it in their own unique way, And why not lean on it? So I lean on it as well.
Yeah, it's great to see you, so to say, finding yourself, right? Using the body type you have with the skill set you have, and sometimes you take risks to test things out.
Sure.
At first I was like, why is he taking risks? But then I realized after a while, like, oh yeah, he's testing things out in the fight that he's practicing in that training room, and he's gonna figure it out. And once he figures it out, man, people are gonna have some problems.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm happy people are starting to see that I'm not just talking. Like I used to try to tell people, even in interviews, I'm like, I'm not just saying this, man. I'm getting better every time. And they'd be like, yeah, everyone says they're getting better every time, but I'm getting better at like a scary rate. Like I'm doing shit in the gym where people are like, you show me something one time, and I'm like, huh, that's interesting. All right. And I'll go and I'll practice it, and I'll come back next thing you know, I'm doing it to the person that showed it to me, and they can't stop it, and they're like, oh my God, so it's cool. It's cool. And I'm having fun with it. That's the most important thing, is that I'm having fun with it, and I'm expressing myself, and I'm not discovering who I am. I know who I am, you know what I mean? But I'm discovering different skill sets that I have, if that makes sense, So while I'm in there, I'm not afraid to do something, because I've tried it in the gym before. As long as it didn't get me KTFO'd, right? And maybe it didn't work, but I didn't get KTFO'd. I'm like, you know what? All right, maybe let me not mess with this for now, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. I'm going to revisit that, and I'm going to play with that a little bit. And then the other things that I try, some of it they work, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. Let me try this live, and I try it live in practice a couple times. Some things like knees and certain techniques and elbows I can't do as fast in real time. I take it to the fight, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Just seeing that, and then just seeing where you came from too. I was telling somebody the other day, like Randy Brown, he's from the original season of Looking for a Fight. If you look
Yeah,
at that regional season, no one is left. Everybody
yeah,
is gone. Some of them don't even fight anymore, right?
yeah, for sure.
Randy's in. He's about to crack the top 15 and has like, what do you have, like 10, over 10 fights, right, in the UFC.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
think 11
insane.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11. It
And it's
just
been
shows.
setbacks.
Hmm.
It wasn't easy, man. It's been setbacks, and I've been written off so many times, and I always talk about how much respect I have for Charles Oliveira, how much respect I have for Dustin Poirier. It's because I can see myself in those guys. I see the person that has lost, the person has stumbled along in their learning process, and everyone just written them off, but they never stop showing up because it's easy for you to just accept that, let what everyone else says start to affect you, start to believe it. Like, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I just whatever. And you just accept being that guy. I see it every day. I accept your role of the type of fighter you are. And then you just start showing up for the check. But you're not doing that. You're still training, but you're just going through the motions. You stop learning, you stopped evolving, you're just going through the motions, and you're just showing up and you're grinding, you're getting in shape to go fight. But you're not learning anymore. You're not evolving, you're not getting better anymore. Guys like Charles Oliveira, guys like Dustin Poirier, guys like Cub Swanson, these are guys who you see and you're like, damn, these dudes still love it. They still wake up every day and evolve, and they're learning consistently, and they're getting better. And they didn't let a few losses and stumbles kind of set them back and discourage them. They continued to advance and believe that they were great. And look at them today. So I never let anyone tell me anything. I continue to get better every single day, regardless of any stumbles I've had. And where I'm headed now and the stride that I've hit now, I can't wait to go avenge some of those old losses and just show people like, yo, yeah, I'm a different animal, man. So y'all keep sleeping and see what happens.
Yeah, there's a couple guys in that top 15 that you could get your wins back if you really wanted to,
Absolutely.
right? They
Absolutely.
they could be headliners too.
They,
Those are
they
some
could. They
those are
could.
some fire ass fights right there. Yeah, man, 4 in a row, your first co-main event spot. You said you want to get back one more time this year.
Yes.
There's some massive pay-per-views coming up. Do you feel like you want to get on that, or maybe try to headline a fight night, or jump in short notice? I don't know. What is in your mind?
Um, it doesn't matter. It depends on the opportunity and see, what they say and where we are in the moment. But I think a fight with me and Chiesa would be nice. I think that's a fight that makes a ton of sense. Um, but we'll just have to see. But I'd headline a fight night. I'd get on a big pay-per-view too. I don't care where it's at. I just want to show and prove. That
And you want a higher level opponent.
for sure. I would love a higher level opponent for sure. If not, I just want to fight and get paid. I just want to get paid ultimately and take care of me and mine. That's at the top of the list. Is just taking care of me and my family and creating new opportunities for us. But yeah, if that requires me fighting up in the rankings and breaking in there, absolutely, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, now it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, it's about the bigger fights, but it's also about the smart move, right? To
Mhm.
to get you to where you want to be in the next year or the next 2 years.
Exactly, exactly. And listen, I'm not opposed to fighting anyone in the rankings. It's just I just want to be at a nice pay scale when it's time. That way, because when you in the welterweight, the welter WAIT division, right? WAIT division, got the welterweight division. These dudes guard their rankings like hell. Like I got friends in the rankings, and they never fight, and then they're like stuck on their contract. 'Cause it's like, bro, like how can you fight once a year? You can't fight once a year and survive. You know what I mean? It's like now I'm unranked. I fight two times a year, every time, 3 times. You know what I mean? So once you break into the rankings, guys are just guarding their ranks. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to fight. What the hell is this fight, bro? Like y'all are here because y'all are good, right? Everyone thinks they're good, so let's fight somebody. So that's annoying, but that's the only thing about breaking into the rankings. So when I break in, run me my money so that I could, if I have to sit with, because no one wants to fight and they all want to sit around, if I got to fight once a year, let me be able to continue to train and evolve and travel and go seek the best training possible, because I spend a lot of money the way that I train. So I'm seeking a lot of knowledge, so I'm spending a lot of money.
I love that. It's like a subtle call out to the division, the welterweight,
Bro,
WAIT. I never even thought of that. That's
think
unique.
about it. That's what they
Yeah.
don't fight, bro. Welterweights don't fight. It's incredible. Think about it. Do they fight? They rarely ever fight.
Randy, man, appreciate the time, and yeah, I'm waiting for someone to step up and want to fight you, and hopefully you do get one before the end of the year. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
man, for the time.
No problem, brother. Anytime, man. Thank you.